good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. It is May the 21st, and I think it's going to be a good day. We'll see. Uh, it is one of the few days now that I will not be leaving the house at all for any reason. So as things are lifted, it's interesting to see how I can go out again and experience things again. And I hope it's kind of the same for you. I hope you're being safe when you go out, but I hope those of you who have the desire to get out and experience things again are able to do so. Without further ado, let's see what we got today. The Two of Cups. This is such a pretty card. There's so much I'm going to say about this card. This one might go long. All right, so Two of Cups. The suit of cups is in the standard playing card deck, the suit of hearts. So you know that it's going to have to do with emotion and love and matters of the heart and matters of those kinds of things. This is a little less to do with material world in the sense of a physical object. It can have to do with physical objects, but most of the time it has to do with our feelings and our emotions towards things. So love, relationships, our feeling about our jobs, if it has to do with job, our feeling about our health, our feelings, our feelings, our feelings. So it's very interesting when this card comes up, and it has to do with things that maybe we wouldn't normally think of as having a lot of emotional connection. Where this card usually will show up is to do with your relationship. So I find it interesting that, to me, when I first draw this card, the first thing I think of is, oh, it's the lovers. And then I'm like, oh, no, it's not. Because there's so much about this card that is so similar to the lovers card. You have your two individuals who are usually male and female, typically. Typically, you will not have the very androgynous look. You'll have one male and one relatively female looking characters. So the characters in this one, they remind me of Romeo and Juliet. Like, if you look at the kind of the era of their clothing, and I know it's very fantastical because Mary Hanson Roberts, her style is a little bit fantasy and a little bit whimsical, and that's part of the reason why I love it. It's also very bright. So our two characters on here, the woman has blonde hair, she's very fair of face, she's kind of got a blush to her cheeks, she's got very red lips, she's wearing a red cap and her hair looks like it's kind of tied back or tied into the cap with some red strings. She's got like a big red, green brooch on the front, and she's wearing a very colorful shawl. And opposite her is the male counterpart. He's a little bit darker complected. He's got darker hair. He's wearing a green cap and a green kind of like jerkin sort of vest. The two of them are facing one another. Their heads are kind of down. They're looking into these cups. It very much reminds me of like some of the more ritualistic marriage ceremonies where you take the cup and you take the string and you take the candle and you take the sand and you take, like, there's so many different, and I literally pulled from like 4 different religions there, I'm sure. But there's so many different rituals involved, and this is very, to me, that ritual of vowing yourselves to one another, because they're holding these cups and they're holding them together. There's this bright light in the middle of them, so you know that they're very connected to each other, and I almost get the feeling they're about to drink from each other's cups. They're not going to drink from their own. Just the way they're holding it and all this stuff. So she is in red, he is in green. These are both very much fertility colors. If you think about women and menstrual cycle and bleeding and things like that, it's very the fertile time in a woman's life. Green is verdant, it is alive, it is virile, all of those things. And so I look at these two, and they look young. They look like they're young, they're about ready to start out in life, and they're going to start that life together. So they are coupled. They are a pair. Before I go into kind of some of the higher up stuff on this card, I'm going to bring it back to some of the meanings. The Two of Cups, twos are always kind of a partnership or a balancing act. So when you have the Two of Cups and emotions are involved, you want to look at it as either this person is about to get into a partnership that's about to take another level and really come together with somebody, and it can be related to business. This could be a really beneficial business partnership. It could be a great contract that they're about to get, and they're going to have an awesome gig for, X number of months or years. They could work with somebody who they're like, oh, I've got to share an office now, but this is great because I really like the person I'm sharing my office with. And it can also be, very simply, a marriage proposal. It could be that basic of an answer. So when you look at this, look at positive partnerships. That's really what this card is. It has to do with. On the higher level of this card, you've got the lion with the wings and the dual snakes kind of entwined with each other. The twin snakes typically is to do with knowledge. So what I find interesting about this, and I'm going to go completely with the symbology of this card and how it's drawn. You have the snakes. They look like they're coming out of each of their heads. So the one snake coming out of the girl's head is like intertwined with the snake coming out of the man. And that's really interesting to me, because what it says to me is that their two souls, their two ideas, their two beings are connecting on a level that is really kind of ordained or, predestined. It is fate, however you want to see it. That doesn't necessarily mean it is for those who are not big believers in fate and predestination, but it can feel that way. It can really feel like this is perfect. This is meant to be. How could it ever have gone any other way? So when I see this, I look at these two snakes and go, oh, yeah, they are meant to be together. Absolutely. The winged lion it's ordained by God. Again, it's something that is of the higher realm. It is going to have a lot of strength and a lot of power, and all of that energy is coming from something higher than yourselves. It is not just about, oh, you really like each other. It's you can't be apart. This project isn't going to happen without you two being together. And because the two of you are together, it will be miraculous. It will be empowering to both of you. Both people are going to grow. The project itself is going to be fantastic. All of these things are going to be really fantastically well balanced and good. It is for the greater good of the universe that this is happening. I know I'm getting super cliche right now, but that's what this card sings to me about. It's about that connection. Now, I'm going to go back to why they remind me of Romeo and Juliet. When this card comes up inverted and you have Dear Romeo and Juliet, what is that? Everybody, okay, if you do not know the story of Romeo and Juliet, I apologize in advance. I'm about to spoil it for you. That does not end well for them. They think that they are perfect, they are meant to be, but they are star-crossed lovers, which very much means the stars themselves, the universe itself said, this ain't happening. You are done. So in the end, they both die. So for those of you who have never read Romeo and Juliet or experienced it in your lives, who knows? Sorry, spoiler alert. There's been many renditions of this too. So when that Romeo and Juliet, West Side Story sort of thing comes up, when this inverted card, this isn't going to end well. It looks like a beautiful picture. It looks like everybody's happy, and it's going to be wonderful and extraordinary, and probably in the first couple months, it will be. And then it's all going to come crashing down around you. And so what I like to say when this card comes up inverted is just be aware. Look at what's happening around you with this relationship and trust your gut, but also have kind of that skepticism. Be a little skeptical. If it's too good to be true, in this case, it probably is. I see this card a lot come up in relationships with people who have never really had a bad breakup, but they always seem to kind of get into the same pattern of Like, oh yeah, it was great in the beginning and the honeymoon phase ended and now it's done. Or they're getting into this relationship for the very first time after something bad, and really what they found is the very same patterns again. So inverted, these guys, you're going to have a Romeo and Juliet situation. If it comes up right, it's probably going to be beautiful, and you get your happily ever after, and the doves are flying and the harps are playing, and it really is as beautiful as it seems. Business wise as well, when it comes up inverted, dot those I's and cross those T's, because you really want to check and make sure. There's probably going to be some trouble along the way with this. It looks all rosy and it looks perfect and it looks like it can all be done with a smile and a handshake. Don't go in that way. Do the smile and a handshake and also check the paperwork, because you just never know. So this is actually a really fun card to have. I enjoy talking about this card. I hope you enjoyed it too. I hope you learned a little something, and I hope this sticks with you in your readings that either come up for yourself or for other people. It's just a little insight into each of these cards one-on-one. It's more fun to do it that way. If you want to learn a little bit more about technology and how it connects to the spiritual and how the spiritual can work with technology, I got a really wild book for you called Cloud to Cloud. It was written by myself and Bob Frank. We had a really fun time writing it. Interestingly, we both have connections to the metaphysical world, and we're also really deeply connected with technology. So it was a lot of fun to write. It is fiction, but it's a lot of fun, and you'll find a lot of interesting facts and weird stuff in there too. So check that out. There is a link at the bottom about where to get that. I also have my website linked if you want to make an appointment to have a reading. Until then, have a wonderful day. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye!